What's up guys and welcome back to On the Brick. Today I wanted to take a look at the 4 different gunships that I own, the 3 official LEGO versions, and of course the one from Dave Customs, or also known as Brickvault's gunship. I think it's really interesting to see how the design of this ship has changed over the years and how different areas were tackled in different ways. While I certainly will be mentioning things like prices and minifigures, this video is mainly focused on the actual gunships themselves. So without further ado, let's begin. First set we are going to be looking at today is set number 7163 Republic Gunship. The set originally released in 2002 had 686 pieces and sold for $89.99 at the time. And when adjusted for inflation, that's about $130 today. This set does come with a whopping 8 minifigures, 4 Phase 1 clone troopers, 2 super battle droids, a droideka, and the famous Jedi Bob. Now I did buy this set used, and so unfortunately the only figures that I had are the 4 clone troopers. You can see that the printing on 2 of the minifigures I own are a little off. It is just a product of the times though, and I don't really mind too much. Obviously there is only a black stud underneath and no actual head, and that is because there's no visor, it's just a hole in the helmet. One thing I always wondered is why there's this like little neck guard underneath the helmet. You can still turn it easily and it doesn't tend to get caught, but it's still a weird choice that we never really see again. The printing on this guy is pretty basic. There's not anything super special on the chest and absolutely nothing on the legs or arms, but I have to admit that I do actually really enjoy these clone troopers, even though I know that is just nostalgia talking. If we look at the gunship from the front, you will see that they don't have the bubble turrets like we see in future iterations. Those just did not exist yet. Maybe this is just from the age of these bricks, but I did find it more difficult to move these around, especially because the tips tended to break off a bit, but you can move them if you really want to. If we turn the gunship to its side, you can get a really good view of it, and even though there are still some very outdated designs, I think this ship still looks good. Because this is the episode 2 version of the gunship, it does have these ball turrets on each side. They swing in and out very easily without any sort of problem at all, actually. And of course, one of the other features on this ship are the doors, which open up and close very easily as well. Literally, I've had 0 problems doing it with this ship. Like I said, this is very clearly an older design. There are these holes on the top exposing some studs, and of course when you open the back doors you do have this blue just right in your face. And even though I understand why they went with the lime green here, it's still a little weird. There are definitely some choices with the overall design of this ship that LEGO would not do again later. Of course 2002 Star Wars LEGO was still really early, so it's hard to call any of this a flaw. I think I would rather call it a learning experience. One other area that they definitely learned from is the cockpit. It definitely stands out, and when I finished building this I was surprised by the final design here. There's a big gap in the back. Like I said, it does stand up a bit, but there is a reason for that. Now behind the cockpit, if you open this panel, you do see some interior detailing, which I just thought was really cool, and I did not expect this, honestly. I kind of forgot this was a feature. And then of course there's also this curved brick here, which is meant to represent the missiles. However much it looks like a handle, it's not, and I would not recommend picking up the ship from it. It slides up and down easily and is out of the way, and also you'll notice this is the only gunship to not feature flick fire missiles. This set did come with stickers, but the condition I got them in were pretty bad, so I ended up replacing them, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, I would not recommend getting the stickers that I did. I got them from a guy on eBay who sells from locally in America, but these aren't really that good. The colors are off compared to the LEGO pieces, and unfortunately they're not even really stickers, though I'm pretty sure the guy who sells those stickers is the same guy who sold me this set. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that yes, I did replace the stickers on this, and that's why they look, well, not horrible. The inside of this gunship does not have that much room even when you move the ball turrets out of the way. You can see that there's like this weird console thing back here, but even then you can still fit the 4 clones you got at least. It's also important to remember that there wasn't any battle packs or anything like that at the time, so getting like a bunch of clones for this wasn't really an easy thing to do. And then you have this really weird section here that looks kind of incomplete, but if you notice, there are hinges there. And this relates back to the weird cockpit area, because you can actually lift that up and then open the front panels of this gunship, turning it into kind of like a command center. This is like the only gunship, or really only Star Wars LEGO set I know that does this. So I just really love this little white box thing because it comes with a magnet, and that's just always cool. I don't know. I like it. So for a kid having this thing, they could easily fly it around or just use it as like a command post, play with it in a bunch of different ways, and it just slides closed together very easily again. So for the time, overall, as the set, this was really good. So even though it was less than 700 pieces and doesn't have a lot of the play features that future sets had, it still came with 8 minifigures and allowed you to do a lot with it. Also, it was incredibly easy to handle. You can easily pick it up with just one hand. It's super sturdy. I could easily shake it around and whatnot and have nothing come off, no problems at all. Up next is the very first gunship that I ever owned. This is set number 7676, the Republic Attack Gunship. Yes, the last version is the non-attack gunship. This set was released in 2008. It contained 1,034 pieces. It came with 5 minifigures and at the time retailed for $119.99, which when adjusted for inflation is $144. I think I talked about this in my full collection video, but I spent all summer saving up to get this thing. I wasn't able to get the 2002 version when it originally came out because I was too young. So when I saw they were updating it, well, of course I had to get it, and I am so happy that I did. The set did come with 5 minifigures: your regular Phase 1 Clone Trooper, Commander Cody, Obi-Wan, Plo Koon, and Asajj Ventress. And of course, all of these minifigures are in the infamous Clone Wars style. To me, the Clone Trooper is an upgrade from the 2002 version. The helmets are actually solid printed pieces this time without any holes in them. And they got rid of that weird neck guard, meaning that you could easily turn the helmet without any problems. The printing on the body still remains pretty basic, but it is an updated design. If you just wanted to see the two versions together, here they are. Like I said, I do actually prefer the Clone Wars version, and again, that's probably nostalgia speaking. Seriously, I think at one point I had a few hundred clones. The set also comes with the only version of Commander Cody that we have seen so far. Obviously, it's the same basic design as the regular Clone Trooper, however, he does come with orange highlights and orange arms. And the thing that I never really liked about these Clone Troopers were these plastic accessories. They are supposed to represent shoulder pauldrons and commas, but the problem is that they really got in the way of the mobility of these minifigures. While I tried to move the legs here, they really can't, which means the playability of this figure was limited by its accessories. And there's of course Clone Wars Obi-Wan. He does come with a blue lightsaber and also the Jedi robe with clone armor torso. He also had white arms because of this, but sadly absolutely no printing on the legs and nothing on the back. This was also before they started to do the double-sided heads, so unfortunately as well, or fortunately depending on how you see it, there is no two-sided head here. But man, however much I loved this figure when I was younger, those eyes still freak me out. My personal favorite figure from this set is Plo Koon, also coming with a blue lightsaber. I just want to add that I personally added the cape sometime later. It does not come with the set. His torso is a similar printing to Obi-Wan's, but without the clone armor, and of course matching his brown color scheme. But like Obi-Wan, there is unfortunately no printing on either the legs or the back. However, this unique head mold is still really cool, and I think it's still the one that they use for Plo Koon, even though we haven't had him in a set for a while, and I just really like it. That's why he's my favorite of this particular set. And the last of the minifigures is Asajj Ventress. He comes with 2 curved red lightsabers and a nice torso printing. The skirt clothing is of course actually part of this set too, and there is no printing on the legs underneath or any printing on her back. However, they did actually add some printing onto the back of her head, which is really nice. Full disclosure, I did play with this gunship a ton when I was younger, and so some things might not be 100%, but I really did enjoy this set, especially back then when I first got it, but more so now also looking back on it. Since this is not based off of the episode 2 gunships, there are front doors here instead of the ball turrets, and some other changes as well that we'll go into. And one of those changes is that they actually changed the cannons up front to be what we know of them to be today. These new ball turrets, bubble turrets, whatever they're called, allowed for much more mobility and moving these around and playability with them as well. They did keep a similar design with this area of the gunship and how it got built up. You can kind of see that the cockpit is also more flush and doesn't really stick up too much here. And also you're really gonna have to excuse the doors. That's just from playing with this thing so much when I was younger. But one thing I never really noticed until now are these bright red pieces here instead of dark red. I guess it's not really that big of a deal, but it's definitely something I'm going to notice forever now. Of course, you can open up the cockpit and put some figures inside, and just underneath that, this panel with the sticker on it can be lifted up too. It's actually a really smooth thing that I really enjoy. Inside of that area was this control command area here. Again, it's seen a lot of play, so some pieces are missing, but it would slide in there perfectly fine. It's actually a really nice and very smooth fit, and then you can just slide the panel right back down and it would be flush. This next little compartment also could be lifted or lowered. I'm not really sure why you would, but that's probably because this area was supposed to house a back-to-tank that I unfortunately no longer have. And then of course you can open up the doors in this quite easily as well, allowing you access to the inside of the gunship. Surprisingly, there's not that much room inside of this gunship. Of course there's this area to hold weapons and whatnot, but the back here was actually supposed to house the speeder that you see on the box, and again unfortunately I no longer have. And I do find it kinda weird that there's actually not that much room in here, because at this time the battle packs were a thing and it was pretty easy to get more clone troopers to add to your squad. At the back of the gunship you can see that I am missing the turret that goes back here, but these gray Technic pieces allow you to very easily open both doors in one swift motion. And if I still had the speeder, I would be able to take it out by lowering this ramp here. As I said, the cockpit does fit more flush back here. However, you can still open up the compartment behind it, leading to a small storage compartment here housing some detonators, bombs, probe droids. I honestly don't remember what these are, but you can fit anything in there. And then of course, this is the first gunship to have flick fire missiles. This was one feature that I never played with because I just didn't want to lose the missiles, but yeah, this is the first gunship to have that. Also, one feature that the last gunship didn't have that they now included was an underside to these wing turrets, allowing you to house minifigures inside of them. Again, this might be because the battle packs were actually out at the same time, meaning you could easily fill these spots. Again, lastly, this set did come with stickers, but these ones have not been replaced. These are just how they are now. There is a little bit of wear on them, but yeah, these are the original stickers. Okay, another thing I do need to admit is that when I first got this set, it absolutely fell apart on me a few times, but I might have just been playing with it a bit too much, because you can easily pick it up without any problems, though I do like to hold it from underneath as well now. Moving on, we have what is to date the latest iteration of the Republic Gunship. This is set number 75021, the Republic Gunship. I guess the attack versions are not the episode 2 versions. This set originally released in 2013, containing 1,175 pieces, and it came with 7 different figures. Just like the last gunship, it did retail for $119.99, which when adjusted for inflation is about $133 today. Now, I sold all of my droids in a pack a long time ago, but thankfully I do still have all the other minifigures, which are the episode 2 versions of Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme, along with a clone trooper captain and a clone trooper pilot. Obi-Wan here does come with a blue lightsaber and his famous episode 2 mullet. The clone armor is gone because of course this is technically before then, and this time there is some slight printing on the legs. It's not much, but at least it's something. There is a tiny bit more detail on the back of his torso as well, and at this point the double-sided heads had been a thing, and so if you take off the hair you can see that yes, he does have two expressions. This version of Anakin does come with a green lightsaber, as it is after the Geonosis arena scene, and people don't really seem to like this figure, and I don't blame them. The hair doesn't look quite accurate, and I think we do need like this rat's tail Padawan braid thing to be more prominent somehow. Still, the design of the figure is pretty good overall, and just like Obi-Wan, he does come with two expressions as well. Then there's Padme, who does look really good. Obviously, the actual costume that this design is based off of is a white, pretty bland costume, but they still did a good job capturing that, including how one of her arms is exposed. She does have the scratch marks on her back, and hiding underneath her hair is another happy face. Yeah, both her faces are happy for some reason. And there's the clone captain, who also looks really good. Obviously, this is a different design than the Clone Wars clones, so the helmets are different. The arms are, of course, solid red, and there's not too much printing on this guy, but we do get to see everyone's favorite angry clone head. And then lastly is the pilot minifigure. Not too much to say here. Obviously, he has the pilot markings on his helmet and like the breathing thing on his chest. Pretty simple design again, and once again, angry clone head underneath. Now, I really love this set. If you're wondering which is my favorite, well, for nostalgic reasons, I would have to say 2008, but for design reasons, I would have to say this one. Kept the design for the cannons of the front. These just work really well and have a lot of mobility in them, but they redesigned how they did the slope of the gunship, and I like this a lot better as it is a lot more smooth. In fact, this whole gunship is way more smooth. They did that while still keeping things like these compartments here that I've literally never used. Just like in the previous gunship, this front panel does open up, but this time it reveals some extra flick fire missiles, which again I've never used because I don't want to lose them. So these stay safely stored away in there, along with this rifle that I realized just now was in there. Again, I just love how smoothly this panel goes down. Of course, this is based off of the episode 2 gunship, which means that these bubble ball whatever turrets are back here again, and they slide out very smoothly. You can open them up without a problem and manage to fit a minifigure inside just fine. Just like every single other iteration of the gunship, the back doors do slide open, but this time there is way more room inside of the gunship. This is easily the gunship with the most amount of room inside, which is really weird when you consider that there was only one clone battle pack out at the time that only came with 2 clones. At the back of the gunship, there is a new design for the cannon back here, but in similar fashion to the 2008 version, there are these mechanisms to open both doors at the same time. It's very smooth and works great, and then of course you can lower this ramp to release this speeder bike. For obvious reasons, it's a small and compact speeder bike that I don't ever remember seeing in the movie, but oh well. This version also allows you to put gunners into the wing turrets. There's a much bigger sticker here this time, and obviously this guy is from the 2008 clone battle pack. Unlike the last 2 gunships though, there are no stickers on this front panel. There are still some stickers, but not nearly as much as the last 2. This is easily the best version of the cockpit for me. It does not stand up too much at all, and it's extremely flush with the rest of the gunship. There is no panel here for you to remove because of that, but I really don't mind because this is really smooth and it looks so good to me. Like the last version of the gunship as well, there are these flick fire missiles that you can move back and forth. I just keep them there because again, they're very easy to lose. But easily the biggest change and an awesome improvement for this gunship is this handle here. You can very easily lift up the entire gunship from this single piece because it's designed that well. I even shook it around a little bit and it was perfectly fine. Yeah, this is easily my favorite gunship out of the 3 that LEGO has made. The price, the minifigures, and the overall design just work very well for this gunship, and I really do love it, but don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of all 3 gunships, which is also why I got this custom one. It is by Dave Customs, or also known as Brickvault's gunship. I have done a full review on this. If you want to see it, it's right here. For those of you who have already seen that or just want the short version, this is an extremely well made gunship. It's the only one I own that managed to get the split down the middle here, but unfortunately for them, their ball turrets are a little weak for some reason and do keep falling off. It's an easy fix. There are no panels or anything to move or open on the side here, but you can of course open the cockpit and put figures inside like I have done. The cannons on the side are not meant to fit any minifigures inside though. There's no handles or anything on top, it's all smooth. Do remember this is supposed to be a minifig scale gunship, not necessarily a playset. Though you certainly need to be a little careful when opening them, both and all doors do open easily. Even though it doesn't look like it, there is a good amount of room inside, and I think I was able to fit like 10 or 12 figures in there when I last tried. Do remember that when you're closing the doors to always do the front door first. Like I said, there are no panels on the front, but that is because you can easily switch out this gray barrel for other accessories. Also, no flick fire missiles on top, but they do still represent the missiles here as well. And lastly, though you can certainly pick this up with one hand, I would not do that. Every time I pick this up, I will lift it up and immediately put my other hand underneath to carry it just in case. And that is finally it. Those are all 4 gunships that I own, the 3 official LEGO versions and the 1 custom version that I currently own. Yes, I do plan on getting more custom versions, they are down the timeline. Out of these 4, if I had to pick a favorite overall, it's kind of hard to do that. I think they were all great products for their time. 2002 had a lack of features, but what it did have was really awesome, and it came with the most minifigures out of any of them, and the cheapest price, though not when adjusted for inflation. 2013 was a fresh new look at the set that did come with some awesome features. It came with heroes and villains, and the only iteration of Cody we had so far. Not to mention that you could easily expand on your clone army by getting some of those battle packs. 2013 expanded and improved on just about everything, completely redesigning the gunship to be much more smooth, and once again increased the minifigures, this time having 7 overall. And of course, Dave Custom's version or Brickvault's version is really hard to compare to those, as it's not really supposed to be. It's a uniquely designed minifig scale set that's not supposed to be a playset. So, though I do think the 2013 is my favorite set, I don't think I can pick any that's better than the rest. They all have their unique qualities that make them awesome and worth it. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Which one do you like the most? Which one do you not like? And speaking of liking, please do remember to like this video if you liked what you saw, and I'm tired of saying the word like now. And remember to subscribe as well. Also, if you really want to support the channel, please do consider checking out my Patreon, and at the $3 level, you can have your name on screen just like these wonderful people. You know what would have been really awesome though? If I had the Munilist 10 gunship. I don't know about you, but to me, that's kind of just like the epitome of the gunship. It's like the coolest design, and kind of everybody wants one. And if I had one, I would have had to do something like custom make all 10 Munilist 10 figures, and probably do a video of its own just because of how awesome it is. Or, do any of you hear that?
Back up now!
Alright, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.